So if we know that our body is acidic, is too acidic, how quickly can we turn that around and change that?
You know, the body is very forgiving. In fact, in the world of epigenetics, you can change the expression of genetics by simply changing your lifestyle and diet. And it only takes 2 weeks. A lot of the sugar cravings, and most folks don't realize that sugar is a metabolic waste product. It's a dietary waste product of metabolism and of food that's breaking down. Sugars increase. These sugars, if they are not eliminated, can build up and cause destruction within our bodies. So the body's very forgiving. For someone who's in the first 4 steps or stages of acidosis, you can resolve this is within a few weeks, up to 12 weeks. If you're dealing with a degenerative condition, like a stage 4 metastatic cancer, that may take a few months, maybe 6 months, up to a year. But it depends on your particular condition and how fast the body is beginning this process of eliminating its own waste products. But it's more than that. It's not about just eliminating your waste products. It's building the most important organ of the human body, and that's the blood. The blood is a living, liquid organ that is our life. And our health is in direct relationship to the health of the blood. So eating foods, a raw, green, plant-based diet is the best diet to begin building healthy blood and then restoring the organs and the tissues, because all of our organs and tissues and glands are made from our blood. And that blood, the focal primary site of that blood production, is made in the crypts of the small intestine, what I affectionately call the root system of our body. When that part of our body is healthy and strong, we build healthy blood. And in turn, from there, we build healthy body cells that build up our organs and tissues and glands.
So there are many ways to get our body more alkaline. What are some of the first steps somebody should go through to start that process?
Well, the most dynamic way that we can improve our health is simply change the water that we're drinking. That water must be clean, it must be purified, it must be functionally structured. And I'm using big words here, but what I mean by functionally structured, I mean water that is not clustered together. You see, water has a tendency to cluster together. We know the molecule H2O.
Sure.
But when you're drinking water, you're not drinking H2O, you're drinking 20 to 40 H2O molecules that are all clustered together. So when you drink water, for people who have problems drinking water, it feels heavy when they drink it, is because it's all clustered together. It can't permeate the cell, it can't permeate the membranes. And so you want to have a functionally structured water where we split the water apart into a monomolecular state, where you're drinking maybe 3 to 5 molecules of water for each glass of water. It's all broken apart. And at that time, also, we need to drink water that's saturated with what our bodies run on, and that's electrons. We're a body electric. Our bodies do not run on carbohydrates or proteins or fats or calories. They run on electrical energy, and those electrons are loaded in alkaline water. In fact, that's what makes water alkaline. It's its saturation of electrons. What makes water acid is when it's saturated with protons, and that's the duality of life. Electrical energy charge. When we go out and we buy batteries, we buy the alkaline batteries, right? When we recharge our cell phones, when we recharge our computers and our cameras, we're recharging it with the same life force energy that we pull from the foods we eat, even the sunshine. We absorb that electrical potential. We know that sun can be converted into electrical energy. It's called solar power. And the biggest solar panel of our body is our skin. It literally absorbs that light force, converts it into electrical energy, and our bodies run on it. Could you imagine if the sun was to hide its face? All life would cease to exist on this planet. So yes, we are a solar panel that runs on electrical energy, and we convert electrons into that electrical energy. In fact, that is the life force that we obtain. It's the reason why I eat. I eat raw foods for its electrical potential. I also eat raw foods for its chlorophyll content, because that's the primary molecule that builds healthy blood. So drinking alkaline water that's saturated with electrons, oxygen, hydroxyl ions, those are OH minus. He said, now you're doing something positive for your body. You're recharging the body. But you just can't drink any water. It has to be functionally structured. It's why I created and invented a non-electric vortex ionization machine I titled the Watermark. And I wanted to create something that was affordable, that everyone could have, so that they could create this functionally structured water.
So does somebody need an alkalizing machine or apparatus like that for their water? I mean, you're not going to get it out of your tap water or out of your fridge filter or a bottled water. I mean, is that the only way that people can get that kind of water, is through something like that?
You have to be conscious about the water you're drinking. If you're drinking bottled water, you're not getting functionally structured water. You're not going to get functionally structured water out of your tap. You're absolutely correct. And because of Chernobyl, because of Fukushima, and now what we have in our water is radioactive iodine. We have cosmetics. We have pharmaceuticals. We have chlorine, we have fluoride, we have all these poisons in our water. I mean, we're drinking water now that's polluted, and our water table's polluted on top of that. So you're literally forced to be conscious about the kind of water you're drinking, because the water that you're drinking will kill you.
Can someone tell the difference if they go into an alkaline water regimen for a couple weeks versus tap water, will they be able to tell the
Absolutely.
difference?
When you taste alkaline, functionally structured water with electrons, you'll feel a little tingle in your mouth. It's actually got a very smooth taste to it as well. You go, wow, this is different. And then the way you feel by drinking this water, and this is what we get from our amateur and professional athletes that we put functionally structured alkaline water on. I mean, they crave this kind of water. When we put two types of waters down for animals, like a cat, cats are very, very finicky about the kind of water they drink. They will not drink tap water. When you put functionally structured alkaline water that's rich in electrons, they thrive on that water. They drink it. It's amazing. They are attracted instinctively to that water.
Hey Fit Lifer, Drew Canoli. I'm here with Krista Arecchio. In today's short video, video number 2 of the sequence, we're actually going to show you why your body's pH is the secret to your vitality and also the secret to preventing cancer. I've never tested my pH, so how do we do it? What do we do?
We're going to do it today, but first, what is pH, right? It
Yeah.
stands for potential hydrogen, and it basically is a measure of how acid or alkaline we are, our biochemistry is. Our blood pH, it never ever shifts. If it shifted out of this very narrow range, we would die. So that is not an option. So what we do is we test the pH of people's urine and saliva to think, how hard is your body working just to keep you alive, let alone allow for vibrant health?
Yeah.
Because if you're acid, you're going to be losing a lot of minerals.
So the ranges are 4.5 to 7.5.
That's basically the full range, but your
Yeah.
blood pH
Yeah.
is 7.25 to 7.45.
Okay.
So you want to stay within that narrow window when you're checking your pH, because then you know that your body doesn't have to work so hard to maintain your blood pH, because if it does, it's going to leach minerals from the bones, donate it to the blood, a root cause of osteoporosis right there.
So the best way to boost up your pH if you're a little acidic is actually my favorite thing to do, and you love doing this too.
Juicing.
And that's juicing. Absolutely. So greens, lots of greens to boost up your alkalinity in your body.
And all those ginger turmeric recipes that
Yeah.
you have are some of the most alkaline forming things that you can absolutely do. You could start your day with that.
Yeah, like the turmeric elixir.
Yeah,
Right?
I love that.
Cool. So let's do the test. How do we
Let's
do
do
it?
it.
Where do we get the info?
Okay, so you have to go to the health food store and you have to get these pH strips.
Yeah.
And you can find them at any health food store in the supplement section. And then what you do for 6 days, same as the Candida test, you
Yep.
can keep them both in the bathroom with a pen, is as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're gonna put a strip in your mouth and you're gonna test your pH. You keep it in your mouth for about 3 seconds and let's pull it out. And then there's a range here and you wanna match it. Drew, super fluorescently alkaline. Okay, he walks his talk.
I juice.
So the other thing that you guys want to do is you want to check your first and second morning urine. And so first morning urine starts at 5 a.m. You wake up and you pee on a strip, you go back to sleep, then the second morning urine is the second time.
Okay.
So that's urine is more accurate than
Yeah.
saliva, but it'll just give you that marker, and then you look at your results over 6 days, and that will give you the idea of where you are and where you need to go and how you need to shift your diet and life.
Perfect. All right, so your homework, Fit Lifer, for this video, because I committed to this and we need you to commit to it as well, because we really are in this together, is to go out and get these strips. You can order them on Amazon as well. I'm going to leave a link that you can click on that. And do this for 6 days, right?
6 days consecutively, urine and saliva.
Follow the protocol. We've listed the protocol out on the blog below. And do this for 6 days. And then video number 3 is coming up, where we're actually going to teach you how to build up your hydrochloric acid in your stomach so that you can digest the food, right?
Yes,
A
more
lot-
energy, more mental clarity.
Yep, and a lot of people have vitamin B12 deficiency. It's not because they're not getting enough of it, it's because their hydrochloric acid isn't strong enough to break down the food that they're getting, right?
Absolutely. Most
Easy
common
enough.
deficiency there is B12.
So we're attacking everything here. How do you feel? You feel good?
Yeah, I love talking about this stuff.
I can tell.
Life-changing
You're like glowing
stuff.
right now.
It's awesome. pH is the most powerful tool that you have.
It
and
is.
you guys can test and balance your pH a few times a year as your own maintenance to keep yourselves healthy for years to come.
Well, I'm going to be balancing my pH. And thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Thanks for
Krista
having me.
Arecchio, you guys, big round of applause for her. Give her a big thumbs up. Share it, like it, love it, do your thing. Drew Canoli,
Krista Arecchio.
remember, we're in this together.
Dr. Bob, a lot of people talk to us or talk about pH balance in our body. Are we too acidic? Are we too alkaline? Does that really matter? How important is that for our body to be, right down the middle or one way or the other?
I can tell you it's very important. And there's the two extremes because some people are too alkaline. Alkaline is like baking soda. Acid is like vinegar. So our body naturally, physiologically becomes acid. So our physiologic process is acid. Stress is acid. we need to eat alkaline. You say, what do you mean we need to eat alkaline? Well, you need to eat food to become alkaline. So in our practice, what we have, and people can purchase this pretty much probably anywhere on the internet, this is nitrazine paper. And we use this paper in our practice to help determine someone's pH level. The ideal time to take your pH is first thing in the morning before you get out of bed and before you even move. So if you consume something, it's going to definitely alter it. But you can see mine is very alkaline at this moment. You don't want to be acid ever. I've had individuals come into our office that were diagnosed with cancer. Now, not all cancer patients are going to be acid, but if you have an acid pH, that is probably not good for you because, see, when you're acid, your body has to neutralize that acid. So how does it neutralize it? Well, it cannibalizes bone and nutrients. So we have an osteoporosis epidemic today because people are acid, because the acid is taking the minerals out of the bones to help neutralize that. We really promote food, you know, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Kale is the great alkalizer. So are beets. So would a lemon. These are alkalizing type of foods. Proteins are acid-producing foods. Now, a lot of people will say, Dr. Bob, I always thought an orange was acid. Well, what happens is by the time the nutrients from the orange hit your lower intestine, this actually causes people to become alkaline. Now, I also know that ladies over 40 years old tend to be more alkaline than they are acid because their digestive enzymes get reduced in that magic 40-year-old time period. But right here, someone watching us right now could have shoulder pain right here. It's called your deltoid tubercle, deltoid bursitis. Commonly can get improved with apple cider vinegar. You say, well, geez, Dr. Bob, I didn't think I was supposed to be acid. No, I didn't say that. So this happens to be distilled. You don't want to be drinking this necessarily to make yourself acid. You want a balance of food. I don't promote alkalized water. I don't promote distilled water. I promote pure water. We happen to use reverse osmosis water that tends to be a little bit more acid. You know, you're going to say, well, how you drink, that's acid. You have to understand, this is a process. I eat food that makes me alkaline. My liver is secreting bile that allows me to become alkaline. Stress causes people to be acid. Individuals who have cold sores commonly, when I say commonly, they have a prevalence to have cold sores, tend to be blood type A and also tend to be stress, and they're burning up calcium. And these little cold sores are coming from viruses. So if you have cold sores on your lip, I know that your body is probably having a digestive issue. Your body might be a little bit acid at the time, and your calcium is being cannibalized. So once again, the whole human body is just amazing. You don't want to just use one item and just pinpoint everything. Okay, I'm alkaline, I'm just going to do this. No, it's a blend. That's why I had mentioned in another segment that bile is alkaline. So people could have chronic digestive distress because they're too acid and their body is using up all the nutrients.
You did the paper test, the
nitrazine?
pH paper, yeah. Is that the best way to find out where you are? Are there other tests you can take?
Well, there's a blood test that we do. It's a part of a chem profile, and we're looking at a person's globulin. A globulin level is a form of protein in a person's body. We like to see the globulin level be at 2.7. See, globulin has to be absorbed. You need to have digestive enzymes for it to be absorbed. So let's say your globulin level is 3 or 3.5. I know that you're eating protein, but I know your body's not absorbing the protein. On the other hand, let's just say that you're eating protein and the number's down to 2.0, well, you might be eating it from a diet sheet that we're looking at, but your body's not absorbing it. You'd be someone also that might have digestive distress immediately after eating. You might be passing gas, either orally or rectally. So those are questions that we ask, but the globulin is one other way that we use to determine how a person's pH is.
In order for our bodies to function properly, the pH of our blood has to be within a fairly narrow range. Our pH, so the pH of blood, needs to be between 7.35 and 7.45. If the pH falls below 7.35, you're going to be diagnosed, and this line is there's kind of a gray area here, but this is what's defined by the medical community. If your pH falls below 7.35, you're actually diagnosed with acidosis. Your blood is becoming too acidic. You have too high of a hydrogen ion concentration in your blood, or a hydronium concentration in your blood. If the pH in your blood gets above 7.45, you're diagnosed with alkalosis. Alkalosis. Your blood is too alkaline. It's becoming too basic. The hydrogen ion concentration in your blood is getting too low. And so you might say, wow, this feels like a fairly narrow range. How does our body put up with acidic molecules entering our blood, or basic molecules entering our blood? How can it handle that without our pH being while keeping our pH in this range right over here? And the answer lies in something that's also useful for the transportation of carbon dioxide in our blood. And this right over here, these equilibrium reactions, we see that carbon dioxide, when you put it in the blood, which is primarily water, so carbon dioxide in aqueous solution, it will react, and we have some enzymes that help this along, but it will react to form carbonic acid. So let me write this down. It will react to form carbonic acid, which is a weak acid. This is carbonic acid, and then that can dissociate to form bicarbonate. So let me write that over here, bicarbonate, and a hydrogen ion, or when we know that would just attach to a water molecule and become a hydronium ion. And so why is this useful? Well, I said it's actually part of the carbon dioxide transportation in the blood, because based on the sources I've looked at, about 5 to 10% of your carbon dioxide can just dissolve in the blood, and then also another roughly 5 or 10% can actually be bound to hemoglobin and be transported that way. But the bulk of it actually needs to actually be transformed, needs to react to become carbonic acid and bicarbonate in order to be transported. In fact, in your blood, most of the carbon dioxide in your blood is actually in this form right over here, and in particular bicarbonate. And the sources I look at, 80 to 90% of the carbon dioxide in your blood is being transported in these forms, and primarily as bicarbonate. So this isn't the topic of this video. What's a useful way to transport carbon dioxide in your blood? But this is how we do it. But the topic of this video is why this is also useful for maintaining our blood pH in this range. Because these equilibrium reactions between carbon dioxide, carbonic acid, and bicarbonate, this is a buffer system. This is a buffer system. And the word buffer in our everyday language, it refers to something that kind of smooths the impact of something, or it reduces the shock of something. And that's exactly what's happening here. Let's think about, remember, these are all equilibrium reactions. This is a weak acid, and you can even look at the different constituents of these molecules and account for them. You have one carbon here, one carbon here, one carbon there. You have 1, 2, 3 oxygens there. You have 1, 2, 3 oxygens there, 1, 2, 3 oxygens there. You have 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens, 2 hydrogens. But let's just think about, what if you started dumping hydrogen ions in the blood? So what if you were to dump hydrogen ions? What's going to happen? Well, if you dump more hydrogen ions, if this right over here increases, actually, let me put it this way. If you were to just dump hydrogen ions, and if you didn't have this buffer system, then your pH would decrease. Your pH would go down, and if you do it enough, your pH, you would end up with acidosis. But lucky for us, we have this buffer system. And so if you increase your hydrogen ion concentrations, Le Chatelier's principle tells us, hey, these equilibrium reactions are going to move to the left. So the more hydrogen ions you have sitting in the blood, the more likely they're going to bump into the bicarbonate in just the right way to form carbonic acid. And the more carbonic acid that you have in the blood, well, it's the less likely that you're going to have the carbon dioxide reacting with the water to form more carbonic acid. So as you add more hydrogen ions, they're just going to be sopped up by the bicarbonate. So this equilibrium, the set of equilibrium reactions, is going to move to the left. So you're not going to have as big effect on pH. And similarly, if you dumped some base, let's say you dumped some base in your blood right over here, well, instead of just making your pH go up and possibly give you alkalosis, well, now the base is going to sop up the hydrogen ions, and then typically that would just make your pH go up. But if you have these things going down, well, then you have fewer of these to react and have the equilibrium reaction go to the left, and so the reaction is going to move more and more to the right. And so this reaction, you're just going to have more carbon dioxide being converted to carbonic acid being converted to bicarbonate. This whole thing is going to move to the right, and so it's going to be able to some degree replace the lost hydrogen ions. So this right here is a buffer system. It helps dampen the impact, as if you have more hydrogen ions enter the system, or as if you have something sopping up all of the hydrogen ions. And it's super important for us, well, just being able to live, and frankly, all mammalian systems.